Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to go back to Chief Spagnolo, if I might. You know, I should note that I'm a gun owner. I go through background checks, whether I'm buying a pistol or a rifle in Vermont. It's usually somebody who's known me, selling to be known me my whole life. But I have no problem with that, with the background check. And I worry about the straw purchases. I knew when I was a prosecutor, and I've seen it since. So many guns are bought in straw purchases and end up in criminal hands. There's no federal law that adequately addresses this type of firearms trafficking. There's more we can do to stop these purchases. Yesterday, I introduced a bill to do just that with Senator Collins of Maine and Chairman Durbin. The last time we had that bill up before the Senate, it got a 58 votes and bipartisan votes. It's supported by a broad range of law enforcement organizations. So, Chief Spagnolo, do you agree that legislation explicitly targeting straw purchases will help law enforcement keep firearms out of the hands of dangerous criminals?
Yes, I do. I think that would be one step, Senator, in the process. We work closely with the United States Attorney's Office here in the District of Connecticut, looking at straw purchases and having local and state investigations adopted by the U.S. Attorney for federal prosecution under the Project Safe Neighborhood Doctrine, and it works quite well. The thing is in Connecticut here, we have a background process, and there's plenty of guns that are sold, and then, as I said, forensically, we're able to link these guns into shootings that are happening in our community, and it's really devastating.
When I was chief law enforcement officer of my county, I heard from so many the police who say that they feel safer when fewer guns end up in the hands of criminals. It's kind of an easy question. I assume you felt the same way the police officers who were under my jurisdiction felt.
Absolutely, Senator.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce in the record letters supporting our legislation from 4 law enforcement agencies: the National Fraternal Order of Police, the Major Cities Chiefs Association, National Sheriff's Association, and the National District Attorneys Association.
Without objection.
And if I could ask Robin Thomas, since 1996, Congress explicitly prohibited federal agencies from researching the gun violence epidemic. The ban was driven by the bogus conspiracy theory that federal research into gun violence would lead to a federal assault on Second Amendment rights. When I was chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, I helped end the funding drought in 2019. We appropriated $25 million to the CDC and NIH to study gun violence from a public health perspective. We treat any other epidemic killing tens of thousands of Americans each year as a public health epidemic. Ms. Thomas, why is it so important for the federal government to treat and research gun violence as a public health epidemic? Why is it vital for Congress to fund that?
Thank you for your question, Senator, and thank you for your leadership on this issue. We are so appreciative of the new funding, $25 million, which is going to look at this issue more carefully. We know from early studies in the early 90s, initially on this issue, that when we study and look at rates of gun violence and the types of measures that can be put in place to reduce it, that we get really interesting and important information about gun storage, about gun sales, about limitations on guns that are appropriate to reducing violence. That's why the Dickey Amendment was put in place, to ensure that we don't have research in order to be able to speak knowledgeably about the ways we can reduce it. So we really look forward to seeing the outcome of this research, which we know because we do have private research that's been coming out of really high-end universities across the country showing the positive impact that gun laws make in reducing gun violence, whether it's limitations, including background checks or permit to purchase laws, safe storage laws, and so many more. So this is essential because without this research to show the impact, it makes it a difficult argument. And we know when research is done, it shows the impact of these laws and helps us to have an educated, informed conversation as a country about what actually works.
And Ms. Thomas, I'm going to submit another question to you for the record if I can, because I also wanted to ask Chief Spagnuolo, the Congress prohibits the ATF from making gun records in its possession digitally searchable. That means they're going through millions of paper records that are stored in cardboard boxes by hand. It's absolutely ridiculous. Do you believe that empowering the ATF to utilize 21st century tools like digital searches would assist law enforcement agencies trying to trace guns used in crimes?
Yes, Senator. Gun tracing is an important part of investigations that we participate in with gun crime, and anything to progress that and bring it up to today's technology would be beneficial to law enforcement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Leahy.